Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Amy. I'm a high school teacher, a voracious reader, and a wannabe writer. And today I want to talk to you about why you should go to a writing conference, even if you are new to writing or you have not made that much progress in your work in progress. And I have 5 reasons for why you should attend based on my own experience of attending the New England Crime Bake this weekend. And I just want to say right off the bat that I acknowledge my privilege of being able to attend a writing conference that was in driving distance from where I live and was very affordable. I felt the price was very reasonable for the 3 days worth of events, plus lunch included. Breakfast might have been included too, but I didn't get there early enough for the breakfast. I just ate at home. But even if I had chosen to stay overnight, they did have discounts on rooms for people that were staying, and those were pretty reasonable too, actually, if that's something that you feel like you really want to invest in. So next year, my plan is to actually have my completed manuscript done and then reward myself by doing some of the additional tracks, which I'll talk about when we get deeper into this video. And I would probably then give myself the opportunity to stay overnight because of the amount of events that I would be able to go to, and I wouldn't want to be driving back and forth. So it's just really a nice thing to do. But I still think that even if you don't have a completed manuscript or you're just new to writing, you can definitely benefit from a writing conference, and hopefully there is one that is affordable near you. And even if it's not a full-on writing conference, for example, I talked about how I went to the Merrimack Valley Halloween Book Festival last month. That was a free event near a local library. I had to drive out like further to go to it because it wasn't a library near me, but it was a completely free event, and there were still panel discussions there where authors were talking about their writing process. So you can also learn a lot from free events as well. You just have to kind of see what's in your area. But once again, it's a privilege if you live in an area that has a thriving writing community and that it's within an easy distance from where you live. So I acknowledge that. But let's just jump in right now. So the first reason why you should go to a writing conference, even if you're new, is because it's just a great learning experience. And yes, I do need to look at my notes or else we could be here for like hours. So I apologize for that. But yeah, it's a great learning experience because there are so many panel discussions going on. So I attended 4 different panel discussions yesterday, and they had many of them. So you had multiple ones to choose from at a given time. So I just picked the ones that I thought were best for me. Actually, I went to one at the beginning because I couldn't find the descriptions, and the title of it was called like "In a Lonely Place, What to Do with 60,000 Words." And I knew I did not have 60,000 words, but I was, oh, like maybe I'll get something out of this. But then I actually did find the descriptions. It wasn't where I thought they would be. And I realized, no, I definitely don't belong in this spot. So I hightailed it out of there and found one that I thought would be a little bit more appropriate for me and where I'm at. And that one was on breaking conventions. So they were really just talking about the tropes that are in writing and how to avoid cliches and how they went about sort of breaking some of the conventions in genre or in other ways that still wasn't going to like negatively impact the reader who's coming with certain expectations. And that one was super interesting. I got a lot out of that one. And then the other ones that I went to that were really great real quick were how to write disability, which I definitely wanted to attend because I actually have disabilities and I want to write about them, but I have a lot of like fears and concerns. And I was able to ask questions about that and got a lot of great feedback and a lot of great support. And in that discussion, they were talking about there were some people who were own voices, meaning they wrote about characters with disabilities and they themselves had disabilities, the authors themselves. But then there were some who don't have that disability, and then they were talking about how to do that in a kind and appropriate manner, essentially. So that was a great discussion. It was just really fantastic. Well done. I felt a whole bunch of emotions after that one. It was really great. And then another one that I went to was speculative fiction and mystery. So this was really fun because I don't write a lot of speculative fiction, but the people who were on the panel were mostly all authors that I had heard of before, read their work, and some were new to me. So Toni Kellner, who also writes under the name of Lee Perry, who does the Family Skeleton series that I'm just starting to read. She was one of the panelists, as well as Aurelie Wallace, and she does a cozy murder mystery series with witches. So that one was really fun. and they were so hilarious. And just it was a really great time, but I also learned a lot. And then they also had, beyond like panel discussions, you could actually attend some roundtable discussions. So I went to one of those during the time slot, and it was on tools and apps that writers use. And this was more of sort of everybody coming together. Obviously there were there were two experts like running it, but they weren't presenting on it and just telling you everything that they use and why you should use that. Everyone in the room had the opportunity, if they wanted to share, what tools they were using for each step of the process. So we had time to talk about like brainstorming, drafting, revision, all kinds of things, formatting, the whole nine yards. So I got a lot out of that. I just had a notebook with me and I just took a bunch of notes. So it's just like a great opportunity to learn more from your peers, people who are in the struggle with you, but also learn from the experts who have published. And it's just valuable information for the price that you're paying. The second reason you should attend a writing conference is access to books and book signing opportunities. I went with a book budget and I did go a little over, but I don't feel bad about it. And all the people there who were published authors, they had their books there. I went there with no expectation this time. I hadn't done any research of who was going to be there. I just sort of showed up. There were books there that I bought, and I'll do a book haul video probably next week about what I got, but some of them were nonfiction about different aspects of the writing process that I thought could help me as I'm trying to write my own mystery. And other ones were just after I went to a panel discussion, if I really liked what the author had said in their panel discussion or their book sounded really interesting to me, I went and picked it up, and then I was able to get that sign. Even if you are really new to writing or you feel like you might never finish your manuscript, and sometimes I feel that way about myself, like what if I just never get there? Am I wasting time going to these writing conferences? You're not. One of the reasons why is because you get to meet authors, and more than likely if you want to write, it's because you like to read, and you will get to meet all these debut authors as well and get to have fun conversations with them, and they'll sign your book, and it's a great experience. So that is reason number 2. So reason number 3 is obviously networking. Now, I did not go there for the purpose of networking on this particular round because I'm such a noob, and that's totally fine. I just wanted to have a fun time and go to the panel discussions and, just have chats with people and buy books. But they did have different tracks for people. You could pay additional fees for master classes, which I did not do, or you could also be on something called the A&E track, which stands for agents and editors. If you were further in the process, or even if you weren't, but you wanted to uncover more of the mystery of publishing, that you could still do. I'm probably going to do that next year just because I'm curious. But some of the things that they offer are opportunities to pitch your book that you're going to be writing, opportunities to have the first page of your manuscript looked at for feedback, and just opportunities to have real one-on-one time with different agents and editors and have classes with them to kind of demystify the process and understand more about the revision process and what happens from the time you get an agent to the time your book is published and all these great things. So you have a really great opportunity of meeting up with someone who might potentially want to buy your book or represent you in some way, or even networking in the sense of you might just make a new friend, or you might just network with an author that you really admire or enjoy, or you discover someone new. I also have Instagram and I have this YouTube channel, so it's nice to network with some people that I met there. I do this all the time, and then I add them on social media and they add me, and then I have opportunities to connect with them later or attend some of their events. It's just a great opportunity all around for networking, regardless of where you are in your writing process. And the fourth reason you should go to a writing convention is because it's very motivating. Speaking for myself, I have trouble with motivation, and a lot of that has to do with my ADHD mixed in with my PMDD and all my fun comorbidities. That can be a real challenge for me. And I think motivation is a real challenging for any writer, whether you have a disability or not. When I go to these events and I meet these people, it really sort of helps once again demystify demystify things for me, because even though rationally I know authors are just regular people who manage to like complete a process, that's all it is. When I go too long in between these events and I'm just by myself, I'll forget that. And I'll just be like, oh, these people, they're just so magical. They're so much better than me. And they are just, they have this talent and gift to be able to do X, Y, and Z. But then you meet them in person and you're like, no, you're reminded once again, these are regular people with regular lives. Once again, I met another author. I bought her debut collection. Oh, story time. We're just going to break this whole thing up. So this was really funny. So I went to the first morning panel discussion and I just sat at a random table that had like 2 people at it so I could just like take my note. And I just observed the 2 people. They looked like cool people. So I just sat down. We didn't have a conversation because the panel discussion started right away. But I'm someone who like can really remember people based on like faces and description, but I'll never remember your name. So after that panel discussion, I went out and I was looking at the books and I found a book that I wanted to pick up called Here in the Night, and it's by Rebecca Turkowitz. And I was actually surprised because this was a mystery crime conference, but this is actually a horror short story collection that just sounded amazing. Then I went and I looked up in the program who Rebecca Turkowitz is, and her picture was there. I was like, I was sitting with this woman this morning, and I was like, I bet you I won't be able to find her for the rest of the time now, because that's how this will go. But no, as I was walking around, I saw her sitting by herself at lunchtime reading a book, and I politely interrupted her reading to have her sign my book and to talk. What I discovered is that she is also a high school teacher in Maine. Once again, it gives me the opportunity to ask, like, how do you do this? Like, I'm a high school teacher and I just can't get it together. Like, this is what I've done so far. These are the struggles with that. How do you make it work? And she gave me some fantastic advice, and her writing process was very different from some of the high school teachers that I talked to at the last event I went to. And she had really smart advice, things that I'm going to actually try to apply, because she acknowledges the fact that it's very difficult. So she, during the school year, that's when she spends the most of her time doing things like planning, plotting, generating ideas, editing and revising her work. And then in the summertime, that is when she does the bulk of her drafting, because you have ample free time and there's no real constraints or things that are draining your creative energy and what have you. And I was like, oh, that would have been smart, because I spent most of my summer doing the planning and plotting, thinking, oh yeah, I'll just write a little bit every day and like write a little bit more on the weekends. No, that didn't happen. We got to talking a little bit more. She has a little bit, more extra strategies that I am going to try to apply going through the rest of the school year, but I wouldn't have had that opportunity had I not gone to that writing conference. So you just never know who you're going to meet. And it's just so motivating after to meet other people. I met lawyers who are trying to write their first books or have just finished manuscripts or are only like 40,000 words in. So it's just all people from like all different walks of life. But at the end of the day, no one really, I can almost say almost 100% certainty that no one there started out writing full-time without some kind of full-time job or working in some capacity at another job besides writing. Just getting to know people and having conversations about those struggles, about how do you work and still make time for your creativity and make time for your kids or whatever else you have going on in life, or with your disability, how does that impact your writing? You have the opportunity to talk to all these writers about those struggles and get their best tips and tricks. So it's very motivating. You come home and you're like, I'm ready to give this another shot. I'm ready to start writing again. Who knows how long that motivation will stick around for? That's anyone's guess. But for now, I'm feeling motivated and ready to give it another go. The fifth and final reason why you should go to a writing conference is it's just fun. It's just a fun thing to do. And I say this as an introvert person because I am really exhausted, and each day that I came home from the events, I was really tired, but it's still just like so great to do. You get to meet people and maybe they're friends, and you just have these really exciting conversations. If you're a nerd like me and you like learning, it's going to be fun. There's food at these events, and it was pretty yummy. And I don't often treat myself in that way. So that was really nice to just be able to eat lunch and talk to authors and check out books and get them signed. Overall, just like a fun way to treat yourself even if you never finish your manuscript, even if you never become a published author, it's still just a fun time, because if you love reading and you just love that scene, you're going to have a good time. It is what you make out of it. Step outside of the comfort zone of my social awkwardness and am able to practice, striking up conversations with strangers. And that felt really good because I just randomly met some nice people, just sat down with them. Everybody was like very inviting. And then I'd see them the next day. They remembered me and they were like, oh, we're eating lunch over here if you want to join our table again. And it just like feels really good, especially if you don't have a lot of people in your everyday life who are really interested in the things that you're interested in, because I don't have many people in my day-to-day life who are as passionate as I am about reading or writing or really any of the varied interests that I have in general. It's just nice to go out there into the world and meet other people who have similar interests and have a good time with them, even if you never talk to them again. One or two people that I've met at various events that I've gone to in my life, like we're still in touch to this day, and that's really nice. So you never know what's going to happen, but it's always going to be a fun time. That's all I have for you today. Next week we'll do the haul about all the books that I got at the New England Crime Bake, and I hope to see you next week. Thanks. Bye.